Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Thank you so much for being here. This show is created to discuss life topics to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. And I have someone here today who I'm very, very happy to have, and I cannot wait for you guys to meet him. His name is Kaj Smit. He's 19 years old, and he went through hell and back, as he puts it, after suffering two major brain hemorrhages. 19 years old, guys. Okay. So he has had to learn basics like walking again, talking again, remembering names, things like that. So as we're having this podcast, if you'd like to hear his story or have visualization of what I'm talking about, you can go to Kaj Smit, which is 𝐘𝐎𝐏𝐄.com. And on there, he will have his story. He has pictures. He also has a fundraiser, all that, which we are going to get into. But if you guys just want to see this extraordinary young man while we are talking about this, go ahead and go onto his website and check that out. Meanwhile, Kaj, I want to welcome you here to Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Thank you so much for taking the time. How are you doing today? How's today going for you?
Today's actually pretty amazing. That the sun was shining. It's summer, so I enjoy the summer.
Right.
And in contrast to normal weather in the Netherlands, it wasn't raining.
Oh,
So that's always a bonus point.
that is, I wish we had more rain here. We're actually in a little bit of a drought. So today it rained, which is good. I hope it continues to rain. So, Kaj, I do want you to tell us a little bit about your story. I mean, we're going to get into it as we talk anyway, but who is Kaj? Like, tell me what you're doing, what you're up to, things like that.
So Kai is at the moment 19. I turned 19 last March. And I have been rehabilitating for the past 11 months to a
Oh,
year.
wow. Okay.
And that was actually pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, I am trying to get money or start a fundraiser for my book because I want to inspire and help people with the lessons that I've learned and the method that I've used in order to be positive in even the most hellish of situations.
Right. I mean,
And yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
and so that's something I want to do, and I want to become a public speaker in order to really impact people who are in a hole, who are suicidal, who can't find a
Mm.
way out, even in a job that they are depressed and don't want to continue anymore. I can help them. So that's what I want to do with the book and public speaking.
That's really powerful. I want you to take us back. I want you to take us back a little bit, if you don't mind. Talking about your story, because you're 19, right? And you've already been through a lot more than people have been through in their lives, right? So I want you to take us back to maybe even a little bit before the hemorrhages, right? Because I want to know who you were and how this has this, this tragedy in your life, or this obstacle, this horrible thing that happened to you in your life, has transformed you, right? So tell me who you were. Who were you before all of this impacted you?
I That's actually pretty easy to say. I was a happy-go-lucky guy who had his life planned out, who was about to exit high school because I was 3 days before my high school exams.
Mm,
And in the Netherlands, you need to pass some exams in order to graduate high school and move on to, in my case, university. And so I was on the brink of starting a new life, and that's when it all changed.
what did you want to be when you were
I
leaving high
wanted
school?
to, well, I had a very broad idea of what I wanted to be. I wanted to become wealthy in order to live my life to the fullest. But in order to do that, I wanted to start studying business administration at
Got it.
the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. And that way, I wanted to become like my mother, who is a CEO of an international company. So I wanted to
Oh, I
pursue
see.
her footsteps.
That's yeah, that's a really, great goal. It's a little, like you said, vague, right? I want to be wealthy. I don't
Yeah.
know what that means.
No,
But so then what happened? Like you said, a few days before you're graduating, just something tragic happened. What was that?
well, it wasn't before my graduation. I was 3 days before taking the exams, even.
Oh, the exams. Okay.
So I had been studying for the past year because you have 4 periods in order for school to take tests.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was I started studying for every period 4 weeks in advance. So I had been studying for 4 times 4, 16 weeks in total. And then suddenly everything changed because what I'd done is I worked out 4 to 6 times a week. So I was pretty healthy, was
Healthy.
young, didn't
Mm-hmm.
smoke, didn't drink, didn't use drugs, and ate healthy, slept at a normal time, everything you could be thinking your doctor would say to you. So do this, do that, you're going to be healthy, you're going to live a long life. Well, that's not the case.
Mm,
And that's actually pretty scary, but it also opens up the possibility of living your life to the fullest because you live
right.
your life like every day is last.
Right. So were you I mean, well, first of all, let us know what happened and where were
Mhm.
you? Were you at school? Were you home? Were you working
I
out?
was I was home.
Mm-hmm.
I just ended my study session because I studied from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m.
Wow.
So I just ended my study session. I went to the garage to work out, and we have security cameras around the house. And on those cameras, you can see me walking towards the garage at 8:20 p.m. You see me walking back at 8:50 p.m. So 30 minutes later. And you see me walking towards the garage, flailing my arms, happy go lucky, putting music on, just being my normal self. Then suddenly I had a huge headache in the
Mm,
garage, and I had the headache prior to going to the garage. But I thought, okay, I'm just overexerting my body because I've been studying for 16
studying.
weeks
Yeah.
from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. I'm just done. And I just finished with the last chapter of what I need to study. So I was happy I finished it. And I wanted to work out because I'd done that to clear my head every day. So then suddenly I lost vision in my right eye and I had a huge headache. So I thought, okay, this isn't right. And boxing against the bag is just hurting me even more. So I'm going back inside. You see me walking on the camera. You see me walking back. You see me uh, with my left arm, with my left hand, going through my left temple because that's where I had the headache.
Mm-hmm.
And you even see me on the camera. You see me avoiding the the fireplace. The fireplace. You see me because we have an outside fireplace, and you see me avoiding it because it came into my field of vision suddenly because I lost vision in my right eye.
Right. Right.
And you even see me stepping back and even being surprised that it was there because I'd forgotten all about it. So I went inside. I told my mother, okay, you stand to the right of me, I can't see you. If you stand to the left of me, I can see you. And I have a huge headache. So, uh, fortunately, my neighbor is a doctor. So he came by because my parents thought, okay, this isn't right. He's having a headache and he's losing vision. Maybe it could be a migraine, it could be a brain hemorrhage. They thought everything was possible.
Mm-hmm.
So the doctor came by. What do you think he said?
You have migraine?
You have migraine.
Yeah.
Because the three symptoms of a brain hemorrhage are speech disorder, impaired speech, movement disability, so you can't move your limbs the way you want them to, and paralysis in your face. So impaired speech, movement disability, and paralyzed face. Those three things and tingling sensation in your limbs. Those four things. If you have those four at the same time, call the emergency services immediately.
Mm, mm. That's good to know.
So,
So the four was just so that my audience can hear you clearly.
mhm,
One of them was impaired or paralyzed in the face.
paralyzed in the face,
Mhm.
impaired speech, tingling
Impaired
sensation in your
speech.
limbs,
Okay, sensation tingling in the limbs
and movement
and movement.
mobility
Okay.
movement
Okay.
mobility disorder. So you can't move your limbs or disability in your limbs, something like that.
Wow. Okay.
So those are four things. If you have those, please call the emergency service because you are having either a stroke, a brain hemorrhage, or something in your brain that isn't right.
Right.
But
Right.
I had none of those. None.
Oh,
So
you had none of those
I had none of those. So
except
the
for
doc
the impaired vision, right?
yeah,
And the
but that's
massive
something that's
headache.
also but that's something that also occurs when you have a migraine.
Yes, it does.
So he was totally in the right place saying that it was migraine. So I don't hold any contempt for him saying that it was migraine.
Right.
So he told me go upstairs, lay in bed. Everything's going to be all right. Just take some rest. If I'd done that, I would have been dead.
Mm.
Because I don't know. Do you have any knowledge of the brain or any?
Who,
Do,
myself?
do you, yeah, you yourself.
No.
Okay, so the brain is perfect inside your skull. There's
Mm-hmm.
no extra room. That everything is filled up exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is the way it's supposed to be. So it's perfect.
Mm.
So if something else enters your head and takes up space, it's going to be killing. Even a few quarters of an inch in metric system, it's a few millimeters.
Right.
It can kill you. The brain hemorrhage I had in the back of my head was 2 inches in diameter.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So 2 inches pool of blood.
So,
That's
what happened though? Did you go to your room and go lay down when he said you had a
no.
migraine?
Have you ever had a fever that's so high that you just want to lay on the ground because you're
Yeah,
so hot?
I've
I
had
did
that.
the same exact thing. So I laid on the ground, and my mother tried to close the curtains because, well, she thought a migraine, sound,
Yeah,
light,
light.
everything
Mm-hmm.
is hurting him. So I'm closing it. So, but we have a string with balls attached to it. And it makes a rattling sound. So she tried to close the curtains, and it made a rattling sound. I was screaming in agony
Wow.
because I said, "Please stop, stop, stop! It's killing me." And so she stopped. Eventually, suddenly, everything went black for me.
Oh wow.
In that moment, someone told me I had an epileptic attack.
Wow.
My parents immediately called the emergency services because prior to that, I told my father, "Hey, I feel my fingers tingling." And he thought, "Okay, wait," because my father had already asked the doctor, "Isn't it the brain hemorrhage?" And the doctor said, "No, no, no. He doesn't have any of the symptoms."
Right.
But my father had a gut feeling. I don't know. He doesn't even know where it came from, but he had a gut feeling that it was a brain hemorrhage. So they called the emergency services. I was rushed to the hospital. A surgeon was flown in by helicopter, and my parents were told I was out. My parents were told, "Okay, your son has a 5% chance of surviving the night, and if he
Wow.
does, we don't know in what kind of state he will awake." So I had another 95% chance if I even did survive the first 5%. I had another 95% chance of being brain dead.
Wow.
So if we add those two numbers up, not being dead and not being brain dead was a chance of 0.25% chance.
Right. Right. Did you Were you awake during that news, or were you
No, I
in
was
a
out.
coma, or okay.
2 months, I can't remember. So from the 12th of May to the 12th of July.
You were in a coma?
I was in a comatose state, yes. The first 9 days I was on the ICU I was in a self-induced coma. Then
Wow.
I went to the medium care for 3 weeks. Then the first month in the rehabilitation center, I can't remember anything of it.
Wow. Wow. That must have been such a heavy heartache for your parents because
Yeah.
you have a healthy son. You have a beautiful, healthy son that is taking care of himself, doing great in school. Like, talk about your whole world and life changing in moments, right? In
What,
like
yeah.
such fast moments. And something you don't expect, Kai, because I have boys, I have a daughter
Mhm.
as well. And I would never expect that because they're young and they're healthy, you know? So, I mean, that talk about taking your family, yourself and your family through such a tumultuous time in your life. So you were in okay, so you were in a in and out kind of state for like 2 months.
I
What?
wasn't in and out. It was just an out.
Oh,
So
it's just out. I'm sorry, I thought you said
everything suddenly
into.
went black.
Mm-hmm.
2 months later, I woke up. Well, I was already awake, but I gained consciousness. and I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I was in a strange place with people I didn't know. And for me, it
Wow.
was mere seconds. So, have you ever seen the movie Inception?
The what?
Movie Inception.
Inception. Oh yeah. Hmm.
So, I thought this was all a dream because it was
Right.
everything suddenly went black. I woke up and I was in bed. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, and was in a strange place with people I didn't know. So I thought, okay, this has to be a dream. What do you think I did?
I'm not sure. What did you do?
I I got a typing machine, and the first thing I wrote in it was suicide
Was what?
because I wanted suicide
Suicide.
because I wanted to commit suicide. And the
Right.
first thing I asked my mother when I could speak again was, "Mom, can you get me a gun? I don't want to continue anymore. I want to wake up."
Wow.
That after she just gotten her son back
I know.
after surviving two major brain hemorrhages, and that was the first thing I asked her.
When was where when was your second one? Was
Same
it
time.
Oh, it happened at the same time,
because
so it's
because the
sharing.
first one, my neurotherapist thinks, and psychologist, and I think that this happened. No one knows how the second one started, but our theory is that the one in the back, it took up such a massive space and it created such pressure that
Mhm.
the left side of my brain also burst.
Right, right. Oh, wow. Okay.
And then you can
So
probably think, do you have another chance of getting one?
mhm,
Nope,
mhm,
none,
mhm.
because I had multiple uh, well, multiple doctors researched what I had, and I went through CT scans and everything, and they found nothing.
Wow.
Not even a defect vein, no high blood pressure, nothing.
Huh.
So that's when they told me, yeah, 1 in 3 brain hemorrhages happen spontaneously. There's
Wow.
no cause to it. Because it would have
Wow.
been a different matter if I'd been doing drugs, drinking a lot, smoking a lot, high blood pressure. It would have been a different question, but different
Right.
matter. But I didn't do any of those.
Right. And Kai, you are I know that you woke up and thought about suicide because it was something that, happened to you that tragically changed your whole world. I mean, not being able to speak or walk or anything like that, and having somebody have to care for you when you're somebody who's always cared for yourself, you're very healthy and all of that. It has to be really hard on the mind. I actually lost a friend through a brain hemorrhage. But she did not survive it. But so that I know that this is like a really big topic and something that's can be very tragic to oneself.
Mhm.
And so you look amazing now, but I can imagine the journey because I saw the pictures on the website. So those of you who are listening, please go on the website and you'll see what I mean. He has his pictures on there and he has his story on there. And it'll give you a clear picture of the struggle this must have been, Kai.
Mhm.
I honestly, I have to say, I'm just super impressed of where you are right now, being that this has only been 11 months. Like, that's blowing my mind actually, right?
No,
So
it's the 16th of July at the moment. I had the brain hemorrhage last year on 12th of May, so it's just over a year.
yeah, just
But
over a year. This is
the my rehabilitation doctor said to me, Kai, and I'm glad that he admitted it because it wasn't easy to admit. But he said to me, Kai, I looked at your brain scans and I looked you up in the hospital when you were in the hospital, and he said to me, I discussed with the other doctors, and we came to the conclusion that you weren't going to be anything. Your brain damage was too severe, and you weren't going to be able to do anything anymore. You were just brain dead, no hope,
right,
nothing.
right,
And
right. I mean, that's why
and
I'm so impressed. Like,
yeah,
I really is blowing my mind. Another thing, Kai, is I think, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I also think because you seem to have been already a very determined young man, right? With going to school, studying, working out, eating healthy, not drinking, not smoking, not, you know what I mean? I think those things also benefited you, right?
greatly, yeah,
Yeah, because I think
because
that kind of mindset doesn't just die off either, you know?
And that's actually pretty funny you said that, because in cases of trauma, you have two ways of with it. You have two coping mechanisms. One is avoidance, so through
Right.
drugs, alcohol, substance abuse, thinking it was a dream for me, just avoiding the entire matter.
Right.
The second one, which is the most effective one, is confrontation, going headfirst in it and saying, okay, don't care, stick in it, I'm going to continue.
Right.
And I can tell you now, the second one is the most effective one, but it depends on your personality and which one
Right.
you choose.
Right.
And
Right. And you can go through both too. And you can go through both. Like you can
I
go
went
through,
through
yeah,
both.
yeah. I've gone through both too. I'm a very determined human as well. But I've gone 100%. I've gone through both where I've avoided. I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to look at it.
Mhm.
But then, of course, that other part of me kicks in, and I have to like deal with it, right?
Yeah,
But so tell me, how did you get through the 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 suicidal thoughts? What clicked that made you go, okay, I have to look at this, I have to deal with this? What clicked in you?
three things. First thing was medication, because I was in a comatose state, and the medication helped me wake up. So
Okay.
I went back to my rehabilitation center because I've gone to two. And the first one I was the first 6 weeks when I was suicidal. And the second one I wasn't suicidal anymore. But I went back there and I told them, yeah, the first thing I can remember is the 12th of July. And they said, hey, that's when we started the medication.
Right.
So it was medication to make me aware, make me conscious. And so it kicked in immediately.
Okay.
And that was one thing that I knew, okay, this is real. But the two other reasons are the most important ones, because um, I could predict everything everyone did.
Mhm.
So I drank 5 liters of water a day, which is insanely
That's a lot.
an
Yeah.
insane amount. And um, every time I asked the nurses, "Can you get me a bottle of water?" they said, "Yeah, give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back." So I thought, okay, I'm going to ask them 5 minutes in advance to get it at the right time. And every time I asked them, they'd give the same exact answer, like it was rehearsed. So I thought, okay, this has to be a dream, because I can predict everything everyone did.
Right.
Then I started to text my friends because I could move my thumb again. I got my mobile phone, and I started to text them. I texted one friend, "Hey, how are you?" I expected an answer back like, "Hey, Kai, I'm doing great. How are you?" The answer I got back was, "Sorry for my language. Fucking hell, Kai, what happened to you?
Right.
How are you alive? What happened? Can you move anything? Can you do anything?"
Mhm.
And I didn't expect that to happen. So I thought, okay, I can't blame this on my subconscious, because that's what I did. Everything
Right.
I couldn't explain, I blamed it on my subconscious.
Mm.
But this was too open, too out in the open, that I thought, okay, this has to be real. And the third one, that's the one, the deciding factor, and that's why I want to help people. Is a friend of the family came by. He'd When I saw him walk in, I knew he'd had a stroke, or he had a brain damage as well. He
Mm.
walked in. I couldn't see anything wrong with him. I thought, how in the hell, name of God, is he so perfect? Is he so? Did he rehabilitate so well? So he told me, Kai, I had a stroke at the age of 14 when I was in Canada,
Oh wow.
and I thought the exact way. I thought this was all a dream. This can't be happening to me. But when I got on the plane and arrived back into the Netherlands, I knew this has to be real. So he talked to me about it. He gave me motivation because, well, he was a bodybuilder. I could see nothing wrong with him. So it gave me motivation. At that moment I didn't know that there are different grades of how severe your brain damage is, and his was, let's say, it was severe, but he could walk again in 2 weeks. It took me 8 months,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I'm
Mhm.
glad he didn't tell me that, because that
Yeah.
gave me motivation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But it takes that motivation and determination, right?
yeah,
Because motivation comes and goes. And I'm sure you went through that, Kai, where you were
yeah,
super motivated and then had a hard day, and then super
yeah,
motivated and then had hard days. Because it gets frustrating, right? To trying to go through the cycle of what life can throw at you. But it does take motivation, but your grit and your know-how and your determination is what pushes you past when the motivation is not there. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really proud of you for sticking to it and still sticking to it, because right before we got on
Mhm.
the air, you told me you had therapy, right? You had some therapy today,
Yeah.
right?
I just I think at the end of May, 12th of May, I was taking my high school exams again.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I passed half the classes. I just needed to retake two
Okay.
next year in order to pass, and then I can go even to university,
Okay.
which was unthinkable a year ago.
Right.
And
Wow.
I still get those. Do you still remember last year kind of things from
Yeah.
Snapchat or your iPhone? And they show me pictures of me on the ICU in a heavy duty wheelchair where I can lay back down with a band with something around my head to keep my head up straight, because if I didn't have it around my head, I would
Yeah.
fall over forward.
Right.
So
Right.
you can see that all, and that just gives me great motivation.
Yeah. I mean, and I love that you're using now your story to impact somebody else's life,
Mhm.
because it shows that it is determination. It is the way you think about things, your mindset, and the fact that you will get through it. You will get through it. And Kai, what I love is that we've all gone through tough things. Some of us, of course, more than others. I mean, what you've gone through is a
Mhm.
really not just big thing emotionally and mentally, but physically as well, right? So it's like a trifecta of like something
Yeah.
coming against you. I love that you are now deciding that you're going to use that to help other people. And so I want to touch on that a little bit. Like, what is it that you're
Mhm.
doing to help others so that we can have people, kind of reach out to you and speak with you and watch your story and all of that. So tell me what you're doing right now to help other people.
At the moment, I'm trying to teach people how to overcome fear, how to think positive in even the most dire situations,
Wow, that's great.
and how to implement my method, which is wishing, believing, daring, doing. Do you truly wish to achieve your goals? Do you believe you can do it? Do you dare to take the next step? Well, then do it.
Right,
And that, because some things just are mentally, and
right.
I have some examples that I'm not going to touch upon right now because will take too long, but that can illustrate exactly how they affected my rehabilitation process.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important one is staying positive, because if you give up or you're negative, well, you can just throw in the towel because nothing is going to ever happen. But if you tell someone, yeah, be positive, that goes one ear in, the other out, because they think, yeah, great, thank you for the
Right,
advice.
right, right.
But what kept me positive, and that's my main lesson. So everyone, listen carefully. That's, don't look at your end goal. Look at where you started. Look back sometimes. That gives you a feel of view on how
Mm-hmm.
far you've come.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
don't look at the end goal. Look at where you started. That way you can see the improvements you've made, the progress you've made. That keeps you positive. That keeps you hungry.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? I'll add a little to that as well. When you look back to see where you come from, don't stay there
Mhm.
too long, because you
Yeah.
can also start to get depressed or
Yeah.
frustrated or feel like a victim. And I love that you're saying, yeah, there's a goal ahead. We all have one, but you need to see where you've come from. And I believe in that too. I call it taking an inventory. And I say, you know what, take an
Yeah.
inventory of what you've overcome already and the things you've done. So when the next thing comes, because things do come, life will hit you again, maybe not with the same thing, but still with challenges, right? But
Yeah.
if you show like where you've come from, you will be able to have now a toolkit, right, that you can use to move forward. And I love that you teach people that, because a lot of people are afraid to look back, but you
Yeah.
got to look back.
And most inspirational gurus say the exact opposite. They say don't only look ahead, don't look back. But that way, if, for example, you wanna be a millionaire, and you've made your first 100,000, but you still think I haven't made a million. If you look back at where you
Hmm.
started, you didn't have anything. Now you
That's
have
right.
100,000.
That's right.
That's a major example, but you can even look at it at 10,000.
Yeah.
Just know where you come from,
Right.
and but don't stay there too long. Exactly, don't stay there too long, because that way you can see. But yeah, but things you can go back to that as well. No, you've made improvements. You've learned. You've evolved.
Right, right. And that's what it's about though, Kai, right? Life is
Mhm.
just about literally about that, like evolving and learning and growing because life will
Yeah.
come. Tomorrow's still going to come. I don't know. We're not promised tomorrow. We may not be alive tomorrow, but tomorrow's
Yeah.
coming. And so if tomorrow is coming, at least make today count for you. You know, look at it in a way that is that will impact your life in a better way than it did yesterday. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, there are three moments in doing things, and two are unable. Unable to do things. That's tomorrow and yesterday. The only time you can actually do something is today.
Right.
So
That's right.
take your chance and do it.
I love that. I love that, Kai. So before I let you go, though, I do want my audience to know how they can reach you about your fundraiser
Mhm.
and what you're coming up with and all that. So if you can give us all of that info, that'd be great.
So you can go to my website 𝐘𝐍𝐉𝐎𝐘.com. Then you can click on the link on the top that says links. There you
Okay.
can find to donate to my book and fundraiser. And you can also there you can write me a message on it to uh, come in contact with me. Or you
That's
can go to my
amazing.
LinkedIn, which is KJSMIT.
Kai, are you doing more podcasting and stuff? Like, are you starting to get yourself out there?
Yeah.
Good. Good.
I was even
It's
thinking of
important to
starting a
do.
podcast myself in order to talk with my parents, in order to really get to know them and how they experience this. Then
Mm-hmm.
go to the
That's good.
emergency services. So make
Mm-hmm.
it kind of a chronological order
Mm-hmm.
in for me to demonstrate how everything went, and then my rehabilitation process, the people who saw me depressed, people who didn't see me depressed,
Mm-hmm. That's good.
everything.
Yeah, that's good. And that would be amazing to put in your book too, because
Mhm.
people uh well, a lot of podcasts and stuff that I've seen, they talk to the person who has gone through something, but we really do forget or don't know the experience of the loved ones. That's why I said, as a mom,
Yeah,
that's why I said, oh my gosh, that must have changed their entire world. Because I could
yeah.
imagine what that would have felt like for me. So I'm really proud of you and where you come from
Mhm.
and how hard you're working. That's not a little thing. That's huge. That's
No,
huge. Because I know you could have stayed however you wanted to stay, Kai. If you would have sat
mhm.
there and said, I'm not going to do anything with my life, and you would have still been in that same kind of state. So
Yeah.
that's
But what
great.
actually probably changed me the most was prior to my brain hemorrhage, I thought, oh, I want to be rich, I want to be that. Now I just want to help people
Yeah.
because I. The one thing that I say the most is a compliment costs nothing but holds so much value.
Compliment costs nothing but what?
Holds so much value.
Yeah.
So a compliment doesn't cost anything, but it holds so much value. And
Yeah.
that's something I've experienced myself. That someone said, "Great job, Kai, you can do this," or "Kai, you look amazing," and I thought, "Yay, I do look amazing," and it kept me positive. So every time I see someone in the club or out on the street who is looking down, I just give them a compliment, like, "Great
Yeah.
shoes, hey, nice
Yeah.
hair."
I'm the
They just
same.
brighten up, and then you see the
Yeah.
smile on their face. So
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
you can
something
do a
I
lot with a smile, Kai. You can do a
yeah.
lot with kindness.
Mhm.
Kindness, a smile, compassion will take you very far in life, Kai. And I love that you learned a lesson from it instead of being a victim of it. That is so powerful. So I
Mhm.
want to thank you very much for taking out the time. I know that you're busy and I love that you had the moment to be here. I love that you're coming out with your book and that you're using what you've gone through to impact another person's life. You never know, Kai, who is listening, who needs this
Mhm.
exact message, you know what I mean, and who needs to know that you're out there too, because most of us, sometimes when we're in this dark place, we feel alone, like we don't have anyone. But people like you who have gone through something that's very tragic and is very hurtful, and then turn that around to impact somebody's life. I feel even if you reach the one you're supposed to reach, Kai, you've done your job, you know?
Yeah.
So kudos to you, my friend. Kudos to you. Good
Thank you.
job.
Thank you.
Grateful. Yeah. So, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody who's
Mhm.
listening and who's here. Kai is just such a sweet, warm spirit. So I want to make sure that all of you connect with him, please. It's KAJ SMIT. And you can go on to his website, which I'll make sure to link all of his information below. I don't want you to not have an opportunity to speak to this amazing young man. And if you are out there and have a podcast and think that he would be a great a guest to have, please do contact him. He said you can message him right there on his website. So make sure you guys do that. Thank you guys so much for always being supportive, always loving all of my guests, and always being able to share, subscribe, like all that great stuff. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you, Kai, for being here. We appreciate you. This is Neena Perez, straight talk, no sugar added. Until next time.